This is the Elevation front bumper from Steelcraft, and it is available for all 2021 through 2023 F-150s, excluding the Raptor. Now, you should be checking out the Elevation for your rig if you'd like to really increase the front end protection for your truck, but would also like to add some additional functionality at the same time. Now, this bumper will combine a very heavy-duty plate steel build, along with the tubular grille and light protection, along with spots for factory fog lights, parking sensors, and adaptive cruise control, all for right around that low $2,000 price point. So big features here with this particular bumper will be the big time upgrade in front end protection for your newer F-150 at home. Now, the combination of the steel bumper here with the integrated brush guard and that punch plate center section will offer a level of protection that is unmatched by many standard bumpers here on the site, and even some more of the basic grille guards. So if you are using your rig primarily for work purposes, or you do a lot of heavy off-roading, this is no doubt going to be a solid option, and I mean that literally. Now, outside of the protection, the Elevation will also increase your functionality, starting with the fog light holes. Obviously, they are going to make way for fog lights, but they are going to perfectly fit your factory fog lights, which is something I like because it does it in a very clean manner. Now, in addition to that, the Steelcraft will offer a spot for a 20-inch light bar right here front and center. So if you do want to add even more lighting to the front of your rig without having to drill extra holes, this is going to be a great way to do so. Now, some of the smaller but equally as important features that I like include the cutouts for the factory parking sensors, if equipped, of course. You do also have a spot for the adaptive cruise radar, which will take the place of your driver's side tow hook if you want to move it there, of course. And then finally, you do have this little removable panel here right in the center, so your front camera is not totally blocked and is still functional. Now, that's something a lot of these heavy-duty brush guards don't offer you, and at that point, the front camera is pretty much worthless because all you're looking at is a punch plate. Not the case here. Again, this portion right here does get removed if you'd like to do so, if you have a front camera, so you can still utilize that feature. All right, moving into construction, and what else can we say, man? This thing is incredibly burly. Now, the Elevation is going to use a combination of heavy gauge steel in parts of the bumper itself here, cold formed, of course, and then you are looking at a lot of that heavy duty steel tubing through the grille protection part of the bumper. Now, you are also getting the steel plate portion here, the punch plate as I like to call it. So that'll even give you protection from rock chips or stuff off-road or on-road, so you don't get smoked by a rock in the grille area of your truck. Now, that protection, again, doesn't stop there. You also have that protection coming all the way past your headlights, even into the front fenders a bit here. So you're really just getting a lot of protection for the front end, including the leading edge of your hood here, thanks to this top bar. Now, that steel material is going to be covered with a 2-stage epoxy powder coat. It's given a very light texture here, but matte black is the color. You have the Steelcraft logo front and center. You can't miss that. And again, even your 20-inch LED light bar is protected by a little bit of this kind of chicken wire steel plating as well. Now, this bumper is also backed by a limited lifetime warranty, so if you should ever run into any issues, you do have that at your back as well. So overall, a lot of protection, but also something that's going to last you essentially the life of your truck. All right, moving into our pricing segment, and the Elevation bumper here is going to land you in that low $2,000 ballpark, $2,200, give or take a bit here, which does put this bumper among some of the other more premium options in the category, such as other bumpers from Body Armor, ADD, or Fab Fours, just to name a few. All right, last but not least, now we want to segue into the installation, and the site is going to call this a very solid and very heavy 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you a couple of hours to complete from start to finish. Now, I do want to point out the Elevation does come with all of the brackets and hardware needed. However, it doesn't come with an extra set of hands, so absolutely going to need a buddy or two to help you lift this monster into place before securing your hardware. But now, to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need various ratchets, various impacts, a 3/8 inch adapter if necessary, a small extension, a T30 Torx bit, 7, 8, 10, 13, 15, 18, 19, and 21 millimeter sockets, a clip removal tool, a larger extension, 10, 11, and 13 millimeter wrenches, 18 and 19 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, a 19 millimeter open end wrench, a large ratchet or breaker bar, and also not shown here is an extra set of hands and a floor jack. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a new front bumper on our F-150, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory bumper, and we'll see you when you get back. So we've got our hood popped, and the first thing we're going to need to do is remove this upper shroud. Now there are many push clips holding it in place, so we've got a push clip removal tool, and we're going to pop those all out and get our shroud out of the way. So we have our clips out. Pull our shroud up and out of the way. One more over here, don't forget that one. Now that we have our shroud out of the way, we can get to our 4 10mm screws holding our upper portion of our grill in place, as well as unplugging our electrical connectors and our washer fluid reservoir connector that is located in here. So we'll do that first and we'll get our screws out. So now we'll get these unplugged. For our washer fluid connector, you simply need to squeeze on the oval side. It should pop right out. Sometimes they can be a little tough, but it should come right out. I'll unplug this one for our shutter. And our camera connector. Now in addition to that, we have a clip holding this part of our harness onto our grill. We're going to grab our clip removal tool. Just pop that right out of there. And so all this can get moved out of the way. Then we can come in with our 10mm socket and remove our screws. Now you notice we have one of our screws missing, but you should have 4 10mm screws up here. We're going to grab our 10mm socket on our impact and remove those. Now while we're up here, we're also going to remove these 5 push clips holding our bracket and grill together. Again, with our clip removal tool. Pop those up and out. Next, we're going to have to remove the lower front trim panel below our grill. In order to do that, we're going to have to remove the 2 7mm screws in each of our wheel well at the back side. So we've got our 7mm socket on our ratchet. We're going to pull these out. And once you have this out, you can grab onto this panel, pop it out of its place, and do the same thing for the other side. Now that we have our mounting screws out, we can pull our lower trim panel. We're going to grab this firmly, pop that off. Next, we're going to remove the lower 8mm mounting screws for our grill. So we've got our 8mm socket on our impact. We'll run these off. And you've got one on the other side as well. Now we can grab our grill and give it a firm tug. set it aside. Alrighty guys, so now that we have our grill off and we're able to access the backside of our bumper, we can begin disconnecting everything that we need to for that. The first thing is going to be this main harness connector that's on the passenger side frame rail. So we'll get down there, disconnect that, and we'll move on to our mounting hardware. And so what we're going to do first is unlatch our connector. So we'll pull this back all the way. That's going to push our connector out. We can work this out. Of the connector, and we'll let that hang down there. Now for this part, we're just going to pull it off the frame rail. Now we're going to grab a large ratchet and a 21mm socket, preferably a deep one, and get to the 3 nuts on each of our frame horns mounting our bumper in place. So we'll remove all 3 of those on each side and pull our bumper away. Now we're going to come to the back side of our frame horns, and you'll have 1 stud on the inside and 2 studs to the outside with your 21mm nuts on them. So we'll get our ratchet in there and get those off, and we'll do the same thing for both sides. Once you have that first one off, you can do the same for the rest. Now that we have all of our mounting nuts off, we can grab our bumper firmly and pull it off. Now that we have our bumper off, we're also going to need to remove our tow hooks. They're held on by 2 15mm bolts and a double nut plate on the inside. So we'll grab our 15mm socket on our impact and pop those off real quick. Now we'll remove our nut plate. Once you have this side off, you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can begin installing our mounting brackets for our new bumper. We're going to start with our provided double nut plate. That's going to go in the place of where our factory tow hooks go. We're going to set that in. Get our provided 18mm bolts with lock washers and flat washers. They're going to go underneath. We're going to slide our main bracket in place and get it through those holes on the bracket into our double nut plate. These are heavy, so you definitely want to support them. If you need an extra set of hands, I would grab a set now. Once you've got that first one in, that'll hold it in place. We'll get our second one on. Now we're going to install our rear through bolt through our bracket and frame horn. So we've got our provided 170mm long bolt with a flat washer on it. We're going to get that through. Now on the back side of the bracket, in between the bracket and the frame horn, we're going to install our provided spacers. Get this through. Slip our spacer on, and we'll grab another one for the other side. You may have to move your bracket around to get both in. So on the back side of this bolt, we're going to add another flat washer and our provided lock nut. Now we can attach our upper support bracket. These are labeled for passenger and driver. They have an embossed P for passenger or a D for driver. So we're going to lay this on top of our main bracket, and that's going to line up with our frame horns, like so. We're going to grab 2 of our provided 18mm bolts with flat washers, get those through the front, and then on the back side we'll add in flat washers and our provided lock nuts. Get these through, get our flat washer, lock nut on the back. We'll do the same thing for the outside. So we'll get this in position. We'll get our flat washer and lock nut loosely in place. Get this around. As you can see, that'll hold that on. We can get our other bolt through. Bring our tow hook up. Get our other flat washer and lock nut in place. Now, as you may have noticed, we haven't tightened anything down yet. We want to leave this loose to allow for adjustments that we may need to make once we install our bumper. So once you've reached this point on this side, you want to do the same thing on the other side. One thing to note is if your vehicle is equipped with adaptive cruise control, you do not want to install your driver's side tow hook, but if not, go ahead. All right, so now that we have our bracketry set up on our vehicle, we're going to need to bring our factory bumper up because there's a lot of things that we need to swap over from the factory bumper to our new setup in order to retain our factory functions, i.e. our parking sensors. Our factory fog lights do mount to the new bumper, and if you have adaptive cruise control, you will need to swap that over. We do not, so we don't need to worry about that. So there's a lot of disassembly that needs to happen on our factory bumper in order to get that over to our new one. We're going to start with our active arrow at the bottom. It's held on each side by 3 13mm bolts, and we'll need to remove those and unplug each side. Then we can move that aside and move on to the next step. So we'll use our 13mm socket, get these out. We've got 2 in here. We've got 1 on the outer side. Now we can move that enough to get in here and unplug this side. Now once you got this side unbolted, you can do the same thing for the other side, and we'll remove our active arrow system. Next, we can unplug and remove our fog lights. So our connectors are in a nice easy spot. We'll just push in on the tab and pull that out. Just like so. And these are held in by 4 T30 Torx screws. So we'll grab our T30 Torx bit and remove all 4 of those, and we can pull our fog lights out. Now one thing to note is your harness is held on by a tab over here. Usually you can just pop this out like so, and you can remove your fog light. Now once you have this fog light out, you can do the same thing for the other side. Next, we're going to have to remove our main mounting brackets from our bumper to access our harness behind it. Also, one thing to note, if you have active cruise, we're going to have 3 T30 Torx screws holding our module in place up here, so we also need to remove that. So we've got our T30 Torx bit, we'll pop these off. Next, we'll need to remove the 5 13mm bolts holding our main mounting brackets in place. So we'll use our 13mm socket and remove those. Once you have that last bolt out, slide our bracket out of place. And once you have this side off, you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now it's time to remove our parking sensors, active cruise, and our entire harness. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all that off as one assembly. The first thing you wanna do is come to the driver's side of your bumper, pull the fog light and active arrow section through this bracket, so it's free and clear. Now your active cruise module is already unbolted. Now we can pop the parking sensors out. So what we're going to do is take a small pry tool and release the side tabs. You want to be very careful when doing this. Just pop those out of place like so. We have one in the middle on the driver's side. We've got our 2 over here. Helps if when you're releasing the tabs, you pull up slightly on the sensors themselves. And once you've got that out, we've got some retainer tabs holding our harness in. You can either take a clip tool or a small pry tool and pop those out of place, and we'll be able to remove our harness completely. You do want to support your active cruise module. See if you have any other tabs, like this one back here, and this one back here. These tend to be a little stubborn, so we'll get a clip tool for those. Now we can grab our harness, pull it out. All right, so now we've got our new bumper laid out in front of us. This thing is very heavy, so we're gonna do all the assembly on the floor. Minimizes the risk and effort of putting it on the table. What we're gonna do first is we need to remove the main mounting bracket off of our adaptive cruise module, and that's held in by this pin and this adjuster screw. So what we're gonna do is just push in on the detent of that pin and work this out. And once you have it past where that pin pushes in, you may need to unplug your sensor temporarily. Pop that out. We can remove our pin. We can pull our mounting bracket off. We want to pull the whole pin out with it, if possible, like so. And we're going to plug that right back in. Now you want to make sure your harness is facing the correct way. So your main plug is going to be towards the passenger side. We're going to feed our parking sensors and fog light plugs through the mounting points of our bumper and get those in position. We're going to feed this through this opening. Adaptive cruise is going to sit up here. We still have to mount our bracket. Then we'll do the same thing for the other side. So now, as far as getting our parking sensors in place, you do have 6 available locations. You have 2 very wide and the 2 in the center. We're going to mount our center ones. For our end ones, you may need to add in the provided extension harness for your sensor. So what you'll need to do is unplug your sensor. We'll plug our extension harness in. Plug that into our factory connector. And you'll have the ability to choose which of these 2 outer ones you want to go with. We're going to go with our one all the way at the end. Now, you will need to remove the silicone seal from the factory on your sensor. It just pops off like so. We're going to replace that with our provided foam seal. You just want to pop the center section out. Take the adhesive cover off the backside. And place that directly where the silicone seal was. And we're going to go all the way to the end. Now, these have the same style mounts as factory. You just want to lock them in to that. And on the back side of your sensor, you want to add in your foam compression pad and then your retainer cap. And that'll just slide over the end of your clips. That'll hold your sensors in place nicely. And you can do the same thing for your other 3 sensors. Now we can install our bracket onto our adaptive cruise module. So we're going to line this up on the front side like so. We're going to grab 2 of our provided 10mm bolts with flat washers and lock washers. And then 2 10mm flange nuts. We already have one down in this recess. We'll get our bolts through. This one's pretty tight, so it's going to hold itself in place after you get the bolt started. We'll get our other bolt in. We'll get our other flange nut in place. Then we'll come in and tighten these down. So we're going to tighten these 2 down. Now, the one where the nut gets pretty stuck in there, you can just grab a 10mm socket and tighten that one down. It's going to hold the nut in place pretty good. Just try to keep your bracket centered. For the other side, we'll use our socket on the nut. We'll grab a 10mm wrench for the back side of that. Now we're gonna mount this to our mounting point here where the driver's side tow hook will go if you didn't have this. So we'll grab 2 more of our 10mm bolts, lock washers and flat washers. We're gonna get 1 through. And on the back side of that, you can add in a flat washer and a lock nut. And we'll do the same thing for this one. Now we're going to tighten these down with our 10mm wrench and our 10mm ratcheting wrench. You want to get these hand tight first. Now, one thing to note is for your adaptive cruise control module, if you wish to add some more protection to it, there is an optional plastic cover that you can install onto this. It will need to be purchased separately. It does not come with your kit, but definitely a good idea if you're doing some off-road or driving on a ranch or something like that. You want to protect that a little bit more. And again, it does not come with your kit, but it is available to add in front of your module just to protect it a little bit more. So next we need to install our lower fog light mounting bracket. That's going to go right here in our fog light area. So we're going to line this up like so it faces down and away from the bracket. We're going to grab 2 of our 13mm bolts with lock washers and flat washers, and on the back side of that we'll add in our flat washers and lock nuts. Get this in place. It's hard to see, but you want to get your flat washer in. And your first nut can go on. Get our second one on. And when we tighten this, we pretty much want it to be in line with our angle of our lower bracket mount. We're going to grab a 13mm socket and a 13mm wrench. We'll snug this first one. And you can still turn it. It's going to hold position. And we'll tighten these both down fully. Now we're going to set our factory fog light in place. We have the far mount down in here. So you want to kind of slide that in. It's going to sit like so. Line up with that lower mounting bracket. So first we're going to get our lower mounting bolt in. So we'll come in from the back side with our 10mm bolt and flat washer and lock washer. Get that on. We'll get our flat washer and 10mm nut. And your other mount is kind of tucked up in the top of the bumper. Now same thing, we'll come in from the back. Get our bolt washers through. And we'll get our flat washer nut in on here. This is a little bit tight. Just be careful. It might take you a couple tries to get this nut on. Now this last one is a little bit more tricky. Still want to send your bolt in from the back side of your bracket. You have to contend with your harness and the taper of the bumper as well. Get that kind of through and then just push it into place. Get our washer nut on this one as well. Once we have all 3 in place, we'll grab our 10mm socket, and you can kind of just hold the heads of these bolts. It will snug itself down. And we'll do the same thing for the other 2. Now we'll tighten this one. Get this top one. Once you have it bolted up, we'll plug it in, tuck our excess harness. Now once you have this side installed, you can do the same thing for the other side. One thing to note is your factory mounting points, if you're using your original fog lights, they're going to stick out a little bit just below your bumper line. If you wish, you can cut these off or trim these down with some angle cutters or a razor knife, something like that, to cut this edge off. For demonstration purposes, we are not going to be doing that, but feel free to do that if you wish. All right, so now that we have our bumper all set up, we have to reinstall our grille and trim and shroud before we can install our bumper. So we're going to start with our grille, we'll get it back in place, get our screws back in up top, hook everything up on the grille, then we'll install our trim and our shroud. First things first, we'll plug everything back in up top here. Then we'll get our 4 10mm screws back in up top and our 2 8s down below. Now we'll get our 10mm screws back in with our 10mm socket. And at home you should have 4, we only have 3. Now while we're up here, we'll reinstall our shroud. You have to lift up on your intake, get that lined up, and we'll reinstall all of our push clips. Get all our push clips back in. I like to work my way around at the corners mostly to get everything centered. And you can work your way into the middle. Now we are missing a few due to many previous installs over time. Now we'll get our 8mm screws back in the bottom of our grille. We got our 8mm socket. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we can install our front trim. So we'll line this back up. Get our little center slots back into place. Then we'll get our sides back on. Now we're gonna push in a little bit where this bend comes around our headlight and pull out on the end of our trim. That'll set it where it needs to go. We'll push that in place and we'll reinstall our 7mm screws. We got our ratchet and 7mm socket. Now once you have this side in, you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now we're ready to get our bumper installed onto our truck. Now, you definitely want to grab an extra set of hands for this. This bumper is extremely heavy. We're also going to be using a floor jack underneath the middle to kind of help set it in position. It will kind of rest on the brackets, but you don't want to rely on that and get under this. You definitely want to have safety in mind because again, this is very heavy and will cause an injury if it falls on you. So we're going to grab an extra set of hands. We'll get this set up on our floor jack and get it into position. And then we're going to mount it with our 3 provided 18mm bolts, flat washers, and lock nuts on each side. All right, so we've gone ahead and got everything set up on the other side. We've got a floor jack holding this up. I've got an extra set of hands supporting the bumper to help me line it up. Again, very heavy. You want to exercise a lot of caution with this. So we'll get our 3 provided bolts, flat washers, and lock nuts underneath and get this in place. All right guys, so now that we've got our hardware loosely in place, we've still got the floor jack underneath. We're gonna start tightening down our hardware. We're gonna start with our 2 bottom bolts that went into that double nut plate on our frame. So we've got our 18mm socket on our impact and we'll tighten these down. Now we're gonna get our long through bolt tightened down, again with our 18mm socket on our impact and a 19mm wrench for our lock nut. Now that we have that tight, we have our bumper where we want it. Now for our 3 main mounting bolts, we're gonna use our 18mm socket on our ratchet and our 19mm wrench. Tighten these down. Then we'll do the same thing for the other 2 bolts. Next, we can tighten down our 2 frame horn bolts for our tow hook support. So we've got a 19mm socket on our impact, an 18mm wrench. We're gonna tighten these. Then we'll do the same thing for our other bolt. Now we can plug our main harness back in. Get this lined up. You want to pull that latch back over. It's gonna bring your connector in. Lock that back into place. Then we can push our tab back in and mount that back on. And once you've got everything tightened down on this side, you can repeat the same process on the other side. We'll go out front to tighten down our tow hook. Then we'll use our 19 mil socket, our 18 mil wrench to tighten down our tow hook bolt. And we'll do the same thing for the back. Now for the open parking sensor hole that we did not use on each side, your kit comes with plugs that you can just pop right in. Push that in place. Pop that on. You can do the same thing for your other open one. And to mount a tag up front, your kit comes with some threaded squares that you can pop into these open squares. So we'll push those into place. Okay. Now, if your vehicle does come equipped with a forward-facing camera and you want to retain full function of that, you can remove this center plate. It's held in on the backside by four 4mm Allen screws, so you just need to pop that out and then your camera will be good to go. For demonstration purposes, we're going to leave ours in. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Elevation front bumper and textured black finish for your 21 to 23 F-150 excluding the Raptor. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.